Hi, Dr. P here to talk about what players can do in card games. This is actually an important question because for any kind of game, one of the fundamental questions, maybe the fundamental question, is what does the player do? In games, players do things. If they're entirely passive, it's not a game anymore. So let's consider what players can do in games that are purely cards. There are various ways to express this, different levels of granularity. I'm not trying to be highly precise or comprehensive. But the basic actions in card games are pretty simple, and many of them are actually a subset of the main actions. So I'm going to go through each and talk about it individually. Well, one thing you can do is play a card from your hand or from the table if you have cards on the table. Often you execute its meaning or power. In collectible card games like Magic the Gathering, the power is the thing. It's what makes the game go. In something closer to a standard card game, there'd be maybe no or a few powers. Another thing you can do is acquire more cards, and that includes drawing, drafting, and buying, which I've listed separately. There may be other means, such as trading cards, stealing cards, being given a card, and there's probably more. Or you can get rid of cards, which is straightforward enough. Sometimes the card is a card that's harmful to you or a detriment, and so you want to get rid of it. Sometimes there's one card that nobody wants to be stuck with. In deck accumulation, or what are normally called deck building games, you want to get rid of cards that don't do anything for you because they take up a place in your hand that could be a beneficial card. Or the entire point of the game may be to get rid of all your cards. You can put a card on the table, your own area or someone else's. The card may be face up, may be face down, depending on how it's played or what it's played upon. Likely there are rules governing what can be placed, where, and when. Or you can pick up a card from the table, again your own area or somebody else's, the same possibility of rules governing. You can pass a card to another player, which is straightforward. Presumably it'll be a card you don't want. This is a subset of get rid of a card. You can take a card from another player, again straightforward, but it could involve conditions, or you might have to play one or more cards before you can take one. What you take could be on the table exposed or in the player's hand, and again this is a subset of acquire a card. You can draw a card or draft one or even buy one. Drawing is traditional, but drafting has gained popularity even though it slows down the game, because in drafting you choose from among two or more available cards, so you have to think about it. When you're drawing, you just draw the top card and that's that. Buying a card tends to happen in games where cards are ancillary rather than primary, because you need to have money or something else of value. Although you can imagine games where you buy a card by spending other cards in your hand. And finally, you can guess what a card is. I'd say that's uncommon, but it could come into play, and it's certainly different. I imagine if I posted this question on Board Game Geek, I'd get lots of variations of the above, and maybe some things I haven't thought of. Thanks for listening.